Hey everybody, thanks for watching again. I really appreciate everything that you guys do in ministry. Couldn't do what we do without dedicated leaders like you guys, so I appreciate everything you do. We are in the last week of our Continuum series where we have looked at the big story of God's creation, and we've looked at the history side of it, we've looked at the Jesus component of it and what happened when Jesus entered the big story that God's been creating and that we're still a part of today. And this week, as we round things out, as we're the very last week, we're going to look at what do we do now that we know the big story of God. And so we start thinking, well, when it comes to some things, we begin to act like experts. We know exactly how we want to order things. We know exactly what we want. We begin to act like we're experts. But we don't just talk this way about unimportant stuff like fast food meals. A lot of us are in the habit of saying very similar things about church. It's like we're going through a buffet line. We want some worship, but not the slow stuff. Not too churchy sounding and no organ, please, but we just try to make our order. We want things sung just the right way, like we like them, and we consider our experience less than if things don't go exactly like we say. Church was okay today, but we sang one song that I didn't really know, and I didn't love it. The worship was good, but the talk was really boring. I like everything we do in large groups, but my small group is just so annoying. And you kind of see how we start placing our order for what we want church to be like. We begin like we're the expert. It's like we walk into church, plop down on the couch, and go, "What do you have for me? Feed me, church." We act like total consumers. We judge, we rate, we get particular, we get picky. And this is how we treat church sometimes. I feel like I'm guilty of it sometimes. I know some other people are guilty of that. It's kind of how we view life sometimes. In fact, sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between how we act when we go to eat or watch a movie and how we act when we go to church. Because we brought that same idea into the church that it's about getting something. Students that are juniors or seniors, do you ever feel like you've been there, done that? I've heard students say that. Maybe you felt like you've hit a ceiling in your relationship with God because everything feels the same, nothing feels new. If you have, you aren't alone. This isn't an uncommon thing. And let me tell you, the reason we feel this way is because we all of us, at some point or another, have made the fatal mistake of thinking that church is about getting something or it's about us and what I like and what I need. But I think Jesus is looking at a lot of us Christians in the church and saying, wake up, you're missing the point. You want to know why you're bored? It's because you're sitting on the couch. You want to know why the church has lost its luster and isn't doing it for you any longer? It's because the church is not primarily about you getting something. It's more than that. And we left off last week with the best news we've heard. Though Jesus had died, he was raised to life from the dead. God had a plan from the very beginning to make things right, and Jesus' resurrection was proof of it. So here we are, at the peak of the story, and if we were in the disciples' shoes, we would probably have felt a little confused right about now. First things seemed really bad, but then the totally unexpected happened. Jesus was brought back to life, and suddenly things got really good. But what's next? What do you do when your best friend, the one you've been spending every moment with, is killed and then raised from the dead? I mean, think about the disciples' shoes there. Now, the resurrection was a game changer. No one knew exactly what it meant for them, and after Jesus had been raised from the dead, he tells the woman who is looking for him at the tomb to tell his disciples to get together and go to the mountain in Galilee, an area where Jesus had done a lot of teachings before. The religious authorities tried to kill him there, so go there. And the book of Matthew tells us that most of the disciples, when they saw him, worshiped Jesus and stood there. Some doubted, but most of them simply worshiped him. And once there, Jesus does what he had done hundreds of times before. He gives them something to do. He teaches. But this isn't just any message. This is a message that was meant to meet their fears and the questions they had, the uncertainties of the disciples. He meets these things head on. In Matthew 28:18, it says it this way: "All authority in heaven and earth has been given to me," Jesus. "Therefore go and make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you, and surely I am with you to the very end of the age." Done, end of the book of Matthew, close the book. That's how Matthew ends. So what Jesus does do is give us a vision statement. It gives us a vision statement and a purpose for who we are meant to be as the church. And it doesn't have a lot to do with the things we would typically judge our church experience by. While we're asking, what can the church do for me, Jesus is telling us, go. How is the church helping me? Go. But we keep singing the songs I don't know and the games that are kind of lame. Well, go. This isn't about us in this building or in this place. It's not all about my needs right here. But once we understand something about Jesus' talk here, it changes the point. What's the point of church? What's the point of the story we've been learning about and our choice to be a part of? What are we here for anyway? To go. Go and do what? Make disciples. Let people know the message and teachings of Jesus. Now right here, there's a new phrase that's kind of come up in the church, and we talk about be an owner, not a renter. Think about owning a home. When you own a home, you invite people over, you upkeep it, you keep it nice, you keep it clean, you keep it in such a way that it brings honor. But if you're renting, sometimes you let things go a little bit, or you're not fully invested in the place. You just call somebody up to fix it, and it's not a big deal. It's really about what you as the renter can get out of that agreement from the one that's renting their house. But when you own something, it's your own, and you want to share it, and you cherish it, you take care of it, it means something more. And so in the church, I want to challenge everybody in the church to be an owner, not a renter. Do something with the gift that we've been given. Don't just sit on it and pay into it and expect something in return. The world needs some songs, and if you're a singer, sing them. The world needs scripture, words that offer hope, and if you've got some, share it. The world is in darkness, and you're the light. If we don't go, if we keep this message of love that Jesus offered to ourselves, we're missing the point. Church is about us as Jesus followers, but it's about us taking his message and learning about his message and taking it outside these walls into the world. It's about the fact that God is on a mission to reveal himself, not just to you, but yes to you, but also to your teammates, to your classmates, to your friends, to the ones that you work next to your frenemies, to your step-parents, to the guy who takes your order at McDonald's, to the homeless guy you ran into the other day. God strategically placed you in the circumstances that you're in and places you face to face every day and has given you a message and a story to share on a mission. So what does this mean? What does it mean to get off the couch? It's time to change the way we do church. It should change our motives that we have for why we come. What we believe the purpose of the church is should be changing. It's not about getting something, it's about being something. You hear the difference? That's something that can change the way that Christianity is viewed and the way that God is viewed and the way that we view God. If we say it's about me being something, not just getting something. So if we're going to be something, what does that look like for a middle schooler or high schooler in Largo, Florida? What does that look like for you as an adult leader here? So in small groups, I want to challenge you, really dive into this topic and get some real tangible ways that we can be the church, that we can get off the couch, that we can get off coming to church and saying, what am I getting out of church? But that we can learn more about the mission of Jesus and go be something, not just get something from coming here. And I think, my hunch is, it will change the way that we view our relationship with God. What would it be like if our church, if our youth group, if our children's ministry would begin to be something and not just get something from the church that we're here? That's a big statement that comes loaded with a vision of something great. And it's bigger than me, it's bigger than you, but it's something that God's doing in between us. So if we buy into this big story of God, if we buy into this story that we've looked at all summer long, it calls us to action. It calls us to get up off the couch and recognize that we've got a story to share, and we've got to share it. So how can we do that? What are the tangible ways that we can do that? That'll be some good conversation in your small groups. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks again for everything that you do. We'll see you this Sunday for our leader meeting. Got some great stuff for you, and it'll be a good night as we round things out for the summer. Have a great week, guys. Bye.